A modern enterprise generates an overwhelming volume of raw training data. PDFs, slide decks, and video lectures accumulate endlessly in corporate servers. Many organizations operate under the assumption that simply providing employees with access to this information is equivalent to providing instruction. The results of this approach are visible in high course completion rates that fail to produce measurable behavioral change on the job. To drive performance, instructional designers must abandon the passive catalog model and architect goal-directed, adaptive learning paths. Firmly, librarians manage repositories. Architects design sequences that guarantee competency. Building this architecture requires a clear hierarchy. The baseline level is the catalog, a raw, unstructured inventory of all organizational materials. The second level is the category. Here, content is grouped by subject, like sales tactics or workplace safety, to simplify information retrieval. The ultimate structure is the curriculum. This is a sequenced, gated architecture explicitly built to achieve a specific competency. In a category model, a learner searches and guesses which materials apply. The curriculum model guides them through necessary prerequisites. It adapts to their starting point, routing a novice through foundational progressions, while offering a direct, abbreviated route to a veteran. Moving the burden of navigation onto the instructional system allows the learner to focus entirely on the material. Constructing this system begins with an exhaustive audience and gap analysis. Before sequencing content, designers map the demographic terrain using a two-axis matrix. On the x-axis, learners are categorized by role, with distinct columns for management, sales, and donor relations. The y-axis stratifies these roles by existing knowledge, separating new hires from 15-year veterans. Consider defensive driving training. A 16-year-old requires foundational background knowledge, while a veteran driver only needs a module on advanced techniques. These requirements occupy opposing quadrants of the matrix. Targeted mapping prevents cognitive overload and ensures employees spend time only on the material essential to their specific quadrant. With the audience mapped, designers use a clustering methodology to group logically linked requirements together. Designers pull disparate courses from the raw catalog and merge them based on organizational goals rather than subject matter alone. For example, unrelated topics like emergency procedures, bloodborne pathogens, and business communications are encapsulated into a unified node for new hire onboarding. Grouping content highlights the gaps in the library. It shows exactly where existing content ends and where new modules must be developed. It also identifies recurring themes. Topics like business communications are identified as continuous requirements that must be woven through future training. Clustering transforms a random assortment of compliance checkboxes into a logical narrative for the learner. Phase 2 involves architectural routing, moving clustered nodes into a chronological timeline. A learning path applies specific mechanics to the learning management system to force pacing and guarantee compliance. Deadlines utilize extrinsic motivation to drive completion. A visible countdown timer creates a psychological prompt similar to a recurring membership fee. Designers also use access restrictions via adaptive pre-testing. This allows experienced veterans to bypass baseline sections they already understand. While adaptive bypassing provides flexibility, other situations require hard lockouts to guarantee safety and legal compliance. In extreme applications, an employee's physical facility access can be automatically disabled until they complete a mandatory safety course in the LMS. Combining adaptive gating with hard deadlines turns a passive training suggestion into an unavoidable pathway. Strict routing carries a risk. Adult learners frequently disengage from rigid, mandated sequences. Andragogy, the study of adult learning, dictates that adults require a degree of autonomy and self-direction to absorb information. Designers embed choice within a curriculum by unlocking a cluster of courses simultaneously rather than sequentially. Instead of a linear progression, the user can complete 6 required courses in any order they prefer. The exit gate remains locked until all 6 are cleared. This structural adjustment provides a psychological shift, preserving compliance while giving the learner control over their immediate progression. Learning paths balance the organization's need for control with the adult learner's need for autonomy. Phase 3 expands the architecture beyond the digital screen through integration and competency tracking. This phase relies on the 70-20-10 framework. 10% of learning occurs through formal training, 20% through mentorship, and 70% through on-the-job application. The challenge is capturing the learning happening in the real world and integrating it into the formal digital curriculum. Competency tracking languages, such as XAPI, link external evaluations directly to internal LMS gates. For example, a trainee runs a staff meeting. A manager observes the process, grading their ability to set an agenda and control the room. That real-world evaluation marks the competency as complete. The tracking language sends that data to the LMS, instantly unlocking the next tier of the trainee's digital curriculum. This integration treats the LMS as a central nervous system, connecting digital training to real-world performance. We have constructed an architecture that moves from a chaotic catalog to a branching, tracked roadmap. Sustaining learner momentum over long timeframes requires exposing this visualized path directly to the user. UI elements like maps, progress bars, and achievement badges provide the dopamine hits necessary to keep learners engaged across months of training. Digital momentum can be reinforced in the physical world through rewards, such as company-branded jackets awarded to employees who complete elite curriculum tiers. Gamification is an engineering tool used to prevent drop-off during long-term training initiatives. This leads to the final question for a strategist. How do you know if this architecture worked? High completion rates and quiz scores only prove that a user knows how to click through slides and memorize facts in the short term. Kirkpatrick Level 3 evaluates actual behavioral change on the job. Gap analysis and LMS routing are meaningless if the employee operates exactly the same way they did before the training began. A corporate catalog stores information. A learning path functions as an engineered system designed to change employee behavior.